Week 14 Critical Thinking Questions. Study Question 1, page 290. Are you surprised by Kant's claim that the only thing good in itself is a good will? Why or why not? I am not surprised by this statement because a good will in itself is something that will always be and remain good. What will not always be good are people's intentions and motives. Therefore, the will in itself is still always good, but sometimes what is behind the good will is questionable depending on each person. Study question 2, page 290. What does it mean to say that something is good in itself? To say that something is good in itself means that something is purely good without circumstances and conditions. When taken into account, influences like expected effects, personal intentions, and selfishness, and so on, the true purpose of a good will is already no longer there. Study question 3, page 290. How would you explain the difference Kant draws between doing an act from duty and doing an act in accordance with duty? The difference is that doing an act from duty means that an action is performed because it is a person's duty, not because they are interested in doing it or feel the need to do it. Doing an act in accordance with duty means that someone is acting in accordance with a duty because they are inclined to and are actually interested in it because it pleases them. Study question 4, page 290. Why does Sartre refuse to give advice to his former student? Sartre refuses to give advice to his former student because feelings come from the deeds that each person does. His former student had experienced so many different things from his life that would elicit feelings that could not be experienced by anyone else. These feelings that the student had could not be decided for him because it was ultimately up to him to choose which is more important to him based on how each deed would make him feel. The student had to make his own choice based on what the feelings personally meant to him and not how they would feel to someone else. Study question 5, page 290. Human beings, according to Sartre, are given to anguish and despair. Can you see a brighter side to this human condition? Explain. I can see a brighter side to this human condition because although human beings are given to anguish and despair, something else that comes along with human condition is the ability to overcome and sometimes see the beauty in things that are not always great. Although we may be given to anguish and despair can later turn into a great lesson and end up being a favor in our lives. Study question 6, page 290. What moral assumptions do you see Kant making? What moral assumptions do you see Sartre making? A moral assumption that I see Kant making is that there are not good deeds done with purely positive and good intentions. I feel as if he is saying that most deeds consist of mostly more negatively viewed ulterior motives. A moral assumption that I see Sartre making is that he believes we cannot make decisions for others because it should be based off of their own specific feelings, which makes it seem very black and white when it is not always this way. Situations like he is describing with his student is why we have things like sympathy and empathy.